series is called The Comeback. Yeah, 3 people over here. All right, praise God. All right, it's called The Comeback. As you saw on the video, that was me running. Praise the Lord. I was like, really? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was you, all right. But we want to thank. We got so many talented people in this church, man. I'm just take a quick second to say the people that made the video, my daughter, Kevin and Oscar, all them. Can we give them a hand for doing that? From that video, we received more likes than we've ever received on Facebook. Come on, man, come on, yeah, excitement, praise God, all right. So we're glad about it, and we're thankful for you all to be here. And it's I don't have my Easter suit on because I gotta get in the pool. I mean, in the Baptist. I gotta take my jacket off, my shoes off, and hop right in. So y'all have to, if you're used to dressing up on Easter, forgive us. We work on Easter, praise the Lord, amen. But this is the most important day on the Christian calendar. There is no other day more important. Matter of fact, it validates everything else. Without this celebration, this day, Christmas is just a fairy tale. Thanksgiving is just a kumbaya. Without this day, because this day validates everything. And the crazy part about it is that to make the resurrection of Jesus Christ happen, God used all kind of people. He used people that most of us wouldn't use in our story. You know, he used prostitutes. He used murderers. He used people who were what we call backbiters, or people who are, if they're nice and friendly, then you turn your back, they talk about you. You know, he used all those type of people to make this resurrection story happen. He used people that you probably know of, like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and David and Moses and Joshua. He used their lives. I call them stories, but it's really people's lives. He used to make this day happen so that we could one day celebrate who Jesus is, right? So it should be the climax of the Christian calendar. We should be excited. Yes, oh my God, it is the resurrection celebration. It's great, right? So in America, we're celebrating all over. People are going on picnics. Going to church, and we have some friends. Me and my wife, we're from Texas, and we moved here from San Antonio, and so we have some neighbors. And every year we say, hey, y'all want to come to our Resurrection Day celebration at our church? And they say, oh no, we're going to celebrate. We're going to the beach. We're like, we never been to the beach on Easter. Praise the Lord. But, people celebrate, and it should be. Now, listen, it's not like that everywhere, because in other parts of the world, pastors are preparing for Easter. They're doing it in hiding. They're afraid because they're being murdered for their faith. See? They're being killed for their faith. They're being beheaded for their faith. But we have the privilege to worship God and to worship Him in one of the greatest, most extreme stories you ever want to believe. A man came from heaven, said he was God. They killed him, but he rose again. Now that's extreme. Do you not know during Jesus' time they had Pharisees and Sadducees? These are people who taught the law. They didn't even believe in Sadducees. They didn't even believe in the resurrection. So for Jesus to come and say, "Hey, listen, one day I'm here, but they're gonna kill me. But in 3 days, it's okay. I'm gonna get up." Right? That's extreme. If you can't believe this extreme story, you can believe anything. That anything is possible. Come on, have anybody ever seen some people raised from the dead? Now, I have seen it once in my life. I've seen somebody raised from the dead. But I kind of wonder if it was a resuscitation. You know what I mean? So we just need to do some CPR, you know what I'm saying? But listen, I have seen it. I have seen people. But the reason why we can see these type things is because of the resurrection of Jesus. That we can come back from anything. That nothing on this earth can't be revived. No matter how dead it is, it can be revived. Why? The resurrection. Oh my God. There's nothing too dead for God. Nothing too dead. I've seen some dead things. There's nothing on the planet too dead for God to resurrect and to make it new again. Listen, let me tell you about my comeback. When my parents began to really tell us about God, it was It was during the time that my parents went through a divorce. I was in second grade. I remember it clear as day. We had just moved on the other side of the tracks. Okay. Somebody, kind of nod so you know what the other side of the tracks look like. You understand? Y'all, okay, all right. So the other side of the tracks, we had 10 roofs. I don't know, we had 10 roofs and wooden houses, you understand? We call them shotgun houses. You open the front door, you can see the back door. That's a shotgun. Anyway, so we had just moved on the nice side of town. We were middle class now. My parents had great jobs, and they were doing well. And I was in the second grade, and my dad left. He was a Rolling Stone, and so I just remember laying in the bed. My mom was tucking me in, and she was talking to me, always kissing me. And I said, Mommy, is Dad coming home? She said, baby, I don't know, but God got us. We're gonna be all right. And then she went and worked her 3 jobs. She worked 3 jobs. 3 jobs. Because she didn't want, the house was brand new. We drove a raggedy car. My dad's car, my dad had the littest cars in town. Is that a word? Lit. Littest. I just made it up. Lit. I mean bad. No, he had the nicest, whatever was the nicest cars, that's what he had. And we drove, I always like to ride with him because his music gonna be loud, you know what I mean? And then his cars was clean, and always the nicest cars. But Mama, we had that raggedy one because we had to pay the bills. Right? But she would always say, baby, don't worry about it. God got us. We had to eat mustard sandwiches sometimes. I didn't say honey mustard. I said mustard. And we didn't even have great value. This is before great value. We had that stuff that was really, really, it wasn't good. But we ate it. And we didn't complain. But my mama kept saying, baby, don't worry about it. It's okay. We're gonna make it through this. We're gonna make it. We're gonna have a comeback. Where did she get her faith? Because her faith started with her belief in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If I can believe the story, then I can believe I can come back from anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Jesus said, listen, all things are possible. All you got to do is believe. That's all you got to do is believe. God does the rest. All you have to do is believe. And see, that sounds good and sounds easy, but we have to have work on knowing how to believe, because we have so many things that come against us. Praise the Lord, somebody. Right? So whatever it means, if you need healing in your body, you need financial help, you can come back. You can make a comeback, starting with your ability to believe this extreme story that Jesus died and he was rose again. I had to explain this story to one of my roommates when I was in the military. And I'm going to talk about my military life a little bit. I had to try to explain this story. He was from Jordan, I think it was. And he had never heard the gospel. And I was telling him about that. I had to explain. And he said, you believe that? You believe actually some dude died and got up? I said, yeah, I believe it. But I convinced him to the degree, that I took him, he went to church with me. Kind of spooked him then, though. We were singing like we sing now. He was like, he didn't know what to do. But he told me, he said, hey man, I admire that you all have the ability to believe a story like that. He says, it makes me want to believe. You see that? See, listen, this is why, if you're visiting with us for the first time, you can look on, all you guys that have Nucleus, you can look on Nucleus and follow us, but you have a copy of my notes that should have given you a copy as you walked in. Let's kind of go through it. It's an outline. Why do we need the resurrection? This is why it's so important. Listen, this is important. We sang this earlier. God created man to live with him forever, but mankind chose life without God. We call it sin. Right? So listen, this is why we need the resurrection, because the resurrection is foundation for us to have any comeback we'll ever need. It's the foundation. But we have to understand why there was a resurrection, because God wants to live with you forever. Now, to me, that's so humbling. I mean, have you ever thought about that? God wants to live with me forever? Yes. He wants to live with you. He created you to live with you forever. Oh, really? That's far-fetched. Yes, it is. But you got to know, you're here for a reason. All this didn't just happen. Y'all still here? All right, listen. So next, listen, this is why we need the resurrection, because God refused to stop loving mankind. He refused to stop loving, but he made a payment for their sin. Okay? So that means the Father sent Jesus Christ to make the payment. because sin broke us. But God decided to fix the sin problem. See, all the problems we have in life, especially in our society, if you get to the root of it is sin. All the problems we have, the root of it is sin. Relationship problems we have, just trace the root of it. And I promise you, you'll hit sin. You ever start digging something and trying to dig a hole or something, or make a garden and then all of a sudden you pull up big rocks? That's what we would call sin. Because we start digging in the fabrics of what's going on in your life, at some point, something wrong, I can see if there's any sin. Right? This is why. But listen, the good part about it is, it's important, the good part about it is God sent Jesus to make the payment. In other words, what does that mean? That means somebody had to pay for your sin. Somebody has to pay, because you can't. Somebody had to pay for you to have a relationship with God, because God is holy. So Jesus was the one that God says, okay, I'll make the payment so that they can have relationship with God. You see how why it's important? All right, next point, listen. The resurrection gives everybody hope and the opportunity for a comeback. Right? See, the resurrection is so powerful because it's personal. It's personal. He died for you. He died for me. He made the payment for you. Anybody one of the bill collectors call you and say, hey, you ain't got to call? They don't make these kind of calls. I know they don't. But they call you from your I don't know who financed your cars, but GMAC. Anybody know GMAC? Long time ago. Anyway. GMAC used to be a financing company with General Motors, right? And I used to have my first car financed through GMAC. And very seldom have I ever get a phone call. Matter of fact, I got one conversation with them when I paid it off. They said, thank you. Click. Right? Because they don't call you and tell you, hey, that's a great job. Thank you for that. No. No. The resurrection is hope. It's personal. It's for all of us. So that someone has made the payment for us. So listen, so that we can have startovers, that we can have redos, that we can have a new beginning. So at any point in life, listen, this is the powerful part about the resurrection. At any point in life, you can have a start over. I tell people all the time, man, on Facebook or Twitter, whatever you call it, all that. Yeah. I all the time say, you having a bad day, just start over. How can we do that? The resurrection. That's what God did. He said, we need to start over. This ain't working. The law ain't working. Moses, all that stuff was good, but it ain't work. They still rebellious. There's still a sin issue. So what did he do? He sent his son, Jesus Christ, to have a start over. When I was in basic training, I was in San Antonio. I went through basic training, Air Force. And I was what they call, see what happens, you get there on a big blue bus, right? When you fly in, you get there, everybody, they kind of swagged out. You kind of, everybody. Back in our days, they had their jeans on, their afros or their shags, or, they had all kinds of different haircuts. And so we all got there looking all kind of ways. And they took us in, they shaved our heads. Told us to shave everything off our faces. They did. I mean, one guy, he even shaved his eyebrows. It was just like, bro, come on, man. But they told us, they said, shave everything off your face. He just shaved everything. I mean, it's like, bro, come on. I mean, where are you from? Michigan? I mean, that's a joke. But, no, so what happens then is that all these about 100 of us are there, and they start giving out titles. And you have squad leaders. They 4 squad leaders. They have a dorm chief. I had no clue about any of this before I got there. They made me the dorm chief. I was in charge of the whole group. And I'm thinking to myself, what have I got myself into? So then they give us this book. They say, okay, this is the book. You have to read this book, and you have to learn about the life in the Air Force. So I say, okay, cool. So I'm reading the book like I'm going through our little different trainings, and I'm reading the book, and the training instructor comes to me and he says, Chief, don't worry about the book, you got it. So, in high school, if a teacher tells you don't worry about it, you just say, all right, cool, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no big deal, right? Hey, we're good. Test come, hey, I'm got this, because she said don't worry about it. I went to take the test, and I failed. And I went to the TI, I said, hey, listen, you said don't worry about that test. You going to take care of that? He said, oh, no, you got to know it. What do you mean? I said, so that means I had to get washed back. I had to go, we were in, I think week 5, which it was only 6 weeks long. I think it was 5. And so I had to get washed all the way back to week 3. So they had to take me out of my group, put me in another group. And my heart was broken. I was mad. I was crying. I was upset. I was mad at God. I was mad at, because see, I was in the Air Force running from God, first of all. I was mad, and then I was mad at the TI because he told me don't read. He told me don't read. He said, don't read. I said, okay, I won't read. So I'm sitting in there, and they began to explain to me what happens when you get washed back. They said, you got to start over. You have to start all over. And I'm like, man. So I didn't have to go through the training again, but I had to go through getting the lesson again. So I started reading the book. And I started praying. I called home, called my dad, and said, listen, I need y'all to pray for me because things are bad. I failed this test. They're going to kick me out. It was just bad. And finally, they said, okay, you get to take the test again. And if you pass it, you're in. If you don't pass it, you're out. You got to go home. I was like, oh, my God. So I was nervous. So I studied, man. I read that book. Because I didn't go train. The other group that they put me back to, they were still doing their training. I had already did the training. I didn't have to go back. So I was called what they call a dorm, a guard, the little guard. No, I was at the door. Whatever, it's a guard. I had to, when the people showed up, when they come back to the squadron, they knock on the door, and I had to stand there and say some little saying, come in, something. They had to say a little saying, then I let them in. Even though I know them, I still had to make them say it. So anyway, I'm sitting in there, and that's all I did all day while they were gone. I just sat in there and read that book, read. Finally, I took the test, made a 98. But before that, I had an anxiety attack. I cried. I called my parents. Everything, right? I needed to start over. But I remembered the words of my mama when I was in 2nd grade. Baby, God got you. You just got to keep fighting, keep believing. So that's what I did. I kept fighting, kept believing. Kept fighting, kept believing. So here's the good part of it. So what happens when you get washed back, see, everything is on schedule. Your whole life is scheduled, right? So when I go to my training, now, my training's supposed to start a certain date. They had to push it back because I got washed back. So we get to my training base, and I walk out. I get off the bus, and I'm thinking, man, I got to do nothing for 2 months until the next class because I missed my class because I got washed back. I get in there. They said to me, Aaron Patrick. I said, yes. They said, you here for training for healthcare administration? Yes. They said, you start tomorrow. I said, oh, no. I got washed back. I got 2 months before the guy said, no, you don't. You starting tomorrow. And so instead of having to sit there and have my training extended 2 months, I'll step right in line with everybody else who had went on ahead of me. So my original group, when I showed up and they were walking into class, I was walking in right behind them. What's up, y'all? What's going on? What's that? All right? Right? See, listen, that's how God operates. When we talking about a comeback, that's how he operates. He's there to help you revive whatever is wrong with your life. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's finances, whether it's personal, whatever it is. God will help you with your comeback. All right? So what we're going to do, we're going to look at one guy, then we're not going to talk too long, but we're going to look at one guy in the scriptures that needed a comeback. And see, he was one of Jesus' main men. His name was Peter. And see, Peter had several problems. But one of his problems was he had a big mouth. He had a lot of things to say. I know you don't know anybody like that. They have a lot of opinion. Every time he walks in the room, he was talking more than anybody. If you just look straight, people will know I'm talking about you. Just keep looking straight. All right? So listen, so we have to understand that these 12 guys that Jesus had, these disciples, they had no idea what they were getting themselves into. No clue. And at some point in their lives, Jesus had to teach them, how do I get a comeback? Let me show you. Let's look at Peter real quick. All right, listen. First of all, Peter was a quitter. Even though he experienced Jesus' ministries and all those great miracles, quitting was inside of Peter. I know quitting is not inside of any of you, but it was inside of Peter. And see, the resurrection had to get that quitting out of him. His belief in the resurrection had to get that quitting out of him. All right, so let's look at Luke 22. This is a very, very important conversation Jesus had with Peter. It's Luke 22:31. You have it in your notes. It says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to have you, to sift you like wheat. Now that's an interesting conversation. None of us pray this conversation happen about us. Praise the Lord. All right. But I have pleaded in prayer for you that your faith should not completely fail. So when you have repented and turned to me again, strengthen and build the faith of your brothers. Y'all hear that? Simon said, Lord, I am ready to go to jail with you, even die for you. Y'all have heard people say that. Whatever you need, I got you. Y'all heard that. I mean, come on. I know you've never said it, but I know you've heard it. All right. But Jesus said to Peter, let me tell you something. Jesus is about to break it down. Between now and tomorrow morning, when the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times, declaring that you don't even know me. So in other words, listen, for all of us, we have to understand God knows us better. Sometimes you don't know quit is inside of you until you get some real pressure. You don't know how I love you. I want to spend all my life with you. You're everything to me. Till some pressure hit. Till they make you mad. When they make you mad, then you really get. Jesus told Peter was saying, oh, no, I got you, Jesus, I got you. I'm your boy. She said, listen, before the sun comes up good, go down good, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. Right? So listen, so let's just get some characteristics of Peter. First of all, number 1, he rebuked Jesus. What? Yes, he pulled him aside and said, hey, don't say, you're not going to die. You're not dying. He rebuked, can you believe that? He was a zealot. Y'all know what a zealot is? Yeah, a zealot was these guys that wanted to overturn the Roman government. That's why he cut that guy's ear off in the garden, because he thought Jesus was coming to turn over the government, to turn the government back over to Israel. That's why he was such a zealot. But listen, he rebuked Jesus. That's why Jesus changed his name. His name's Simon. You know what Simon means? It means weak. I'm weak. So Jesus changed his name to Peter, which means rock. You're not weak, you're strong. All right. So listen. So he rebuked Jesus. Now we just trying to get some characteristics of quitters, just in case quit show up at your door. You'll know how to handle it. All right. So then listen, his faith failed. Jesus prayed. He said, I pray that your faith don't fail. You have to understand, we all have to understand as Christians, that when the enemy attacks us, he's attacking your faith in God first. Every fight you have is a fight for your faith in God first. What do you believe about God first? So Peter's faith failed. I don't have time to go through, so you can read when you get home. We don't have to go through all of it, but he was always inside of him. You just have to listen to some of the things he said to Jesus. They were on the boat. Let me just give an example. Y'all. They were on the boat, and Jesus borrowed his boat to preach. He just met Peter good, he met him about a month or so. And he said, hey, did y'all catch anything? He said, no, we toiled all night. Jesus said, okay, well, go out again and throw out. We toiled all night, but at your word, he wanted to quit. See, quit was inside of him. And the same thing will happen to us. Quit is on the inside of us sometimes. And our faith, man, listen, under the right pressure, if we don't have under the right pressure, if we don't have the right backing, your faith will fail. No, you got to remember now, this guy walked on water, Peter. He walked on water like Jesus did. Then last but not least, with Peter, somebody said he quit. He quit. You ever felt like you let God down? Anybody ever did that? Anybody ever did that? I mean, you did something and you said, man, not only did you let your parents down, you let your kids down, you let your mama down, you let your boss down, you didn't pay your bills. I mean, you did all those things. You just feel bad. That's where Peter was at. After he denied Christ, he was in a position where he was just like, man, I can't do this. This is too much. I can't do it. This is too much. But what he didn't know was the resurrection was coming. And the resurrection was infuse what he believed. The resurrection will cause him to believe again. The resurrection will cause him to start over. Hey, you can start over, man. It doesn't matter. See, I have stories I want to tell you, but I got to wait because this is a real good one. No, it is. I had this lady call me one time, this many years ago, and I was assistant pastor of the church, and she said to me, Pastor Darren, I'm getting a divorce on the phone. I said, well, what's going on? I'm going to divorce my husband. I said, why? She told me why. I can't say it because it would really shock you. Whatever you thinking in your head right now, way, way worse. Yeah, that second thought too, way, way worse. It was horrible. My mindset said, yeah, you need to divorce him. Yeah, you need to divorce him. It was bad. But after I prayed, but I'm praying with her with this bad situation, listen carefully. Here's what I said to her. After I prayed, the Spirit of God said to me very, very, very soft. He said to me, tell her don't stop believing. And I said to her, I said, sweetie, listen, whatever you do, don't stop believing God. I said, I'm not telling you to divorce him. All I'm saying is go to him, pray, ask God, and don't you stop believing. She said, okay. And I'm going to tell you, it was the hardest thing. Now, this is her testimony. The hardest thing she's ever done. But they made it. And if I told you what happened, you would be like, oh, no, she done lost her mind. Something wrong, no. You would. It was horrible. But they made it through to stay married. They did it. Listen, all things are possible. All comebacks are possible. All of them, no matter what it is, you can recover. All because of the day we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It gives us the ability for a comeback. All right, y'all ready? All right, so let's prepare for your comeback. How do we do it? First of all, we have to know we all love comebacks, don't we? Y'all like comebacks, don't y'all? Come on, man. I mean, some of the greatest comebacks in football history. We talk about them all the time. That was a great comeback. Where did you see that comeback? We don't talk about beatdowns that much. Oh, I forgot we're in Atlanta. My bad. Oh, I forgot. Oh, my God, I forgot. Hey, listen, they told it. I forgot. I didn't even think about it. But, yeah, I forgot. The greatest comeback in NFL history. What happened last couple of years? Was it last year? Yeah, last year. Praise the Lord. All right. 2 years ago, it happened, right? So all comebacks, we love comebacks, man. They make us realize that difficult times do not always get the final word. They don't. Difficult time. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It never gets the final word. All right? So listen, letter A, all comebacks take bold faith. Somebody say bold faith. Bold faith. Again, as I said before, every attack on you is an attack against what you believe in God. And when it comes to faith, you always need the right trainer. You need the right trainer, somebody to teach you how to believe by faith. Jesus was the perfect trainer. Listen, Mark 16:19, it says to this. And again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John. Now listen, this is after the resurrection, okay? He's been raised from the dead. He's talking to his disciples. Matter of fact, they're having lunch. Jesus in his resurrected body is eating lunch with his disciples. Think about that for a week. When we be raised from the dead, we're going to be able to eat. They were eating fish. Oh, wow. See, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Yes. So listen. So here's what Jesus is talking to Peter. He's talking to Peter. Now, Peter denied him 3 times, right? Yes? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The 3rd time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus had asked him the 3rd time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. All right? So you have to understand something. This is what he's teaching his disciples. In order to have a comeback, you have to have bold faith. And see, bold faith is faith that won't make excuses. As I said before, Peter was full of excuses. He always wanted to make excuses. He was ready. Jesus would never let him. You ever had a teacher that would never let you make excuses? You call them on the phone. My wife teaches one of the colleges around here, and the kids are always calling, hey, I couldn't get the lesson. I couldn't get the lesson open. Can we have a redo? No. No, because we always want to make excuses. See, bold faith is a faith that will not make an excuse. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Is it going to take everything in you to do it? Yes. But can you do it? Absolutely. It's going to take. So Jesus had to train them how to have bold faith, how to believe when you can't see nothing. See, it's not faith if you can see it. It's faith when you can't see nothing. How am I going to do this? I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue how I'm going to do this, but I believe. So Jesus, and then listen, because of your bold faith, what happens as a result of that, you get vision. And your vision helps you. Jesus is telling him, he said, feed my sheep, Peter. He's giving him vision. So your faith should produce a vision for you. What are you going to accomplish? I'm going to, for Peter, he was going to become the leader of the church. That's what Jesus was telling him. You're going to be the leader of my church. But it's going to take bold faith. It's going to take you believing something in and of yourself. You can't do it. You can't. I have friends who have recovered from financial difficulty, not difficulty, disaster. How? Faith. Bold faith. To say, we're going to recover. Yes. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to recover. And see, I always talk about relationships because I love relationships, and I think God does too. But it takes bold faith to make it through hard relationships, through divorce. It takes you not making excuses, not blaming someone else. I heard Will Smith say this, and I've been using it lately. I call him the great theologian, even though I don't know what he believes. But I heard him say this. He said, it might not have been your fault that you're in that circumstances that you're in, but it's your responsibility to recover your own life. It might be somebody else's fault, but it's still your responsibility. See, your life is your responsibility. It is. When it's all said and done, you're going to look God in his eyes. He was like, I gave you life, what'd you do with it? Because at some point, it's your responsibility. No, you don't understand what happened to me. You don't understand what happened to me. It's their fault. No, yeah, it is their fault. You're right. When it's all said and done, it's your life. You got to pick it up, and you got to make it happen. How are you going to do that? Faith. In what? The resurrection. Again, if you can believe this crazy, outlandish, extreme story, you can believe anything. And that's what Jesus was trying to get him. All along, Jesus was talking to his disciples. He said, hey, I'm going to die. They're going to kill me, and I'm going to get up. 3 days later, they was like, really? Come on, bro, stop playing. He was like, yes. And then, listen, all of them were killed except for, all of them were killed. They were all killed. Believing this crazy. Peter was crucified upside down. James was thrown off of a cliff and killed. Why? Because they believed this crazy story and they had faith, bold faith. And I'm saying to you, you can have a comeback of any proportion. It doesn't matter what it is. You can have a start over, a redo, a let's start the next chapter. You can do it, but it's going to take bold faith. It's going to take when everybody else say, oh, something wrong. You might be saying things on your job. They'll be like, have you heard of? But all you got to do is say the resurrection. That's all you got to do is say the resurrection. Right? And then it'll infuse other people to believe too. Yes, it can happen. Why? We got the power of the resurrection. All right, come on, next point. We're almost finished. Listen, all comebacks take grace. Oh, man. Somebody say grace. All right, let me read the scriptures. Acts, this is John, the 21st chapter, 6th verse. It says, then he said, throw out your net. Now, this again, Jesus had been raised from the dead. They're coming to him. This is prior to the lunch we just spoke about. They're coming with fish. Well, they had nothing. And Jesus said, hey, he's standing on the shore talking to them. Hey, y'all catch anything? No. Throw your net on the right side of the boat, and you'll get some. So they did. And they couldn't haul in the fish because the nets began to break. All right? So listen to this. The verse 7 says, Then the disciple Jesus loved said to Peter, it is the Lord. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his tunic, for he had stripped for work. All right, he put his clothes on because he was working, with just shorts on and stuff. He jumped into the water and he headed for shore. The others stayed with the boat and pulled the loaded net to the shore, for they were only about 100 yards from the shore. So listen to this. So Peter felt so bad what he did. He put his clothes on, jumped in the water, started swimming because he had such a guilty conscience. Let me get to him first, because you don't believe I done messed up. You understand? I messed it all. I blew it. So he's swimming to the water. I got to get there so I can talk to Jesus. So when he got there, Jesus started talking to him. Why? Because he offered him grace. What's grace? Let's just look at this. What's grace? Listen, all comebacks takes grace. Grace is receiving God's help when you need it, even though you don't deserve it. No, it's God's help during tough times is what I call it. And remember, Peter's name was Simon. It meant weak. So sometimes when you're doing your comeback, you're going to have times where you just like, hey, look, man, this is too hard. I done blew it. You're going to feel sorry for yourself. And you're going to say, man, forget it. It's not worth it. I'm done. It's over. I'm done. And that's when the grace of God comes. and says, listen, I'm going to give you this help. I know you don't deserve it, but I'm going to give it to you because I love you. You don't have to earn it. You understand? And see, what we try to do, like Peter, we beat ourselves up so bad, we never get to the place of grace. We beat ourselves. You don't have to beat yourself up anymore. If you've messed up, you don't have to beat yourself up anymore. Because the payment that Jesus paid took care of the payment you would have to pay. Are y'all still here with me today? So I had a pastor come to our church many years ago, and him and his wife, they were teenagers when they met. In the process of them meeting, they got pregnant 6 times as teenagers. 6. They had 6 abortions. 6. He's telling this story to our church. It's packed full, and he said he was mentioning really to the women, because usually the women carry that, men don't usually carry that. But he said to them, he said, God ain't angry with me no more. We aborted those babies, and now they had two of their own. And he said, but we experienced God's grace. And every time we messed up, we got an abortion. We messed up, we got an abortion. We messed up, we got an abortion. He said, every time when we came to a place at the very end, we said, we're never going to do that again. God's grace was there to say, I'm here for you. See, listen, you don't have to earn it. You don't earn this. It's a gift. Why? The resurrection. He paid the price so you don't have to beat yourself up trying to make a comeback. It's too hard. You don't know. You don't understand what I did. It doesn't matter. The comeback, the resurrection says you don't have to do it no more. So I can, you mean to tell me, and people say this all the time. I said, hey man, you don't understand, Pastor, what I've done. Hey man, don't worry about it. Just keep coming. Don't worry about what you did. Just keep coming. But you just keep coming. That's how God says, just keep talking to me. I know you've messed up. Don't beat yourself up no more. Don't even worry about that. I paid the payment for it. You just keep coming. See, that's too hard for us to understand because we don't understand grace. We understand we gotta be punished. No. Not according to the scriptures. He gives you help for your comeback. And it's all through grace because listen, we can't do it by ourselves. We can't earn it of ourselves. You don't have enough strength. You ever been tired of something? You're just like, man, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. It just wearing me out. God's help comes in and says, just keep going. Let me give you an example of scriptures. There was a great apostle named Paul. Paul was doing great work for God. God showed him great things. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. And he had, we don't know if it's a sickness, we're not quite sure, but he called it he said, it's a messenger from Satan or a thorn in my flesh that would either make him sick or just torture him. And Paul said, I went to God and I prayed 3 times. Now, I love that verse because he expected God to answer him the first time. And then he said, okay, and then the second time, for sure, you're going to take this away. And the third time he asked, and here's what the Spirit of God said to him. He said, my grace is sufficient. In other words, my grace is enough. Just keep walking. Just keep trying. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Why? All that happened, the resurrection of Jesus Christ gave us hope. Our last point, and we're finished. Listen. Anybody ever needed to come back? Yeah. Me and my wife the only people that needed to come back? I got a good story at the end. I got to tell y'all this. All right, listen. All comebacks take other people. Yeah. See, the biggest mistake that you could ever make is to think that you can have a comeback and trying to do it all by yourself. You cannot have comebacks in your life without other people. You're going to need other people. I know we live in an isolated world. We live in a world you don't even have to go shopping for your own groceries. I mean, come on. Who would have ever thought you would, can somebody go to work for me? That's what I don't know. Can somebody go to work for me? I get a paycheck. That's what I need to know. When y'all figure that out, let me know. Then I'll be happy. But think about it. We don't even have to go shopping. We can live a completely isolated life. People will come to your house and fix your car. They got those mobile mechanics. They'll fix your car. It's like, man, you can stay in your house and die, and people won't know you be dead. That's the type of isolated life we can live. But that's not God's way. If you're going to make a comeback, see, the reason why I'm saying this, and I know I'm talking a little long with this, but listen, at some point in your life, we will all need one. Because things happen. Relationships. There's people who've gotten divorced who I would never thought in a million years. Someone called me the other day, not long ago, and I said to myself, they were talking to me, and they were talking about divorce, and I said, oh, what? Never would have thought in a million years that would have ever happened to them. But no, things happen. We all at some point will come to a place we have to decide, are we going to just succumb, or are we going to fight through? But the key to it is, you're going to need people. You're going to need some help to help you with your assignment, to help you get through. You're going to need help. You can't do it by yourself. So listen, so if you're trying, you're going to fail. I'm here to tell you now, so start over. So start over, right? Because God sends people to help you. Just think about this. Think about this. If it wasn't for the 12 disciples, we wouldn't even have the story. You see how Jesus needed other people to talk about his comeback? So you'll need other people to help you with your comeback. No matter what it is. You don't understand. I've had drug addictions. I've had drugs. So you can come back from it. You can recover. You can start over. But you're going to need other people. You're going to need other people. Can I tell y'all 2 stories and be done? I got 1.5. Okay, 1.5. My barber, I had a barber in San Antonio that cut my hair since I was 18 years old. He cut my hair. And he got hooked on crack. Just hanging out with the wrong guys. First it was marijuana, then it was alcohol, then it was PCP, I think, heroin, all that stuff. He just kind of went up and then down. He got hooked on crack. And one of the things he told me, he said, Pat, listen, all the people who I thought were my friends weren't my friends. He said, when I got to the bottom, where it looked so bad that, he said, I went to the crack house to get some crack, and the crack dealer beat him up. Face was swole, lips was beat all up. He said, by the time I got back to my friend's house, I knocked on the door and said, hey man, y'all gotta help me. Y'all gotta help me because these guys beat me up. He said, his friend said, man, you tripping. Grabbed a pillow, threw it in the corner and said, you can sleep in the corner. And he said, I knew then, I gotta start this thing over. Because if I don't start this thing over, it's gonna be bad. See? And so he did. He said, that's when he got on his knees and said, God, if you help me recover my life, I'll live for you. And he did. He recovered. It took him some time, but he recovered. But it took other people helping him along the way to say, hey man, you can do it. Come on, let me help you. Last story, I got a friend of mine, spoke to him this week. Promise you. Talk about comebacks. We were stationed in San Antonio together. He had a little girl, probably about Anissa's. Where's Josh? Well, Anissa's about, 4 or 5? She was about 4 or 5 years old, little baby. And then they had another little boy, and then they moved to, I think, Japan. They got stationed to Japan. And she was real fast, man. She was a little athlete, just running all over the base. And she started to grow up. She became a little teenager in middle school. And, she was doing real good. And they were saying that she's going to be a track star. And so one day she woke up and she didn't feel good. True story. Didn't feel good. He said they started doing all kind of tests. What's wrong? What's going on? What's wrong? And he gave me the name of the disease. I can't remember. It's not being repeated. I'm not gonna worry about the name. But he said that the disease began to affect her kidneys and all parts of some type of her cells or something in her body. And he said, yeah, it was pretty bad. She went from one day being this healthy athlete, this healthy, vibrant child, to this child that barely could get out of bed, started losing her hair. Things started happening. And he said he didn't know. They just praying. They had to move her from Japan back to Washington where they could be near Walter Reed Hospital. And long story short, he said we just continued to pray. We had to believe God. We continued to pray. We had to believe God. They found out what it was. They started treating her. She started getting better. She was stronger. She never was able to go back to athletics, but she was able to live and have a vibrant life. And so one day, as she got older, she went to high school, went to college, graduated, her kidneys started to fail. And they said, you're going to need new kidneys. We'll put you on the list, but it doesn't look good. So the family started praying. They went through everybody. And she's now 19. I think her brother's 16. The other sister's 14 or 15. And guess what? Her brother is a match. Perfect match. But now, do you risk this 16-year-old young man who has a vibrant life? You risk that to give to the daughter. And the brother said, absolutely. Mama, y'all take my kidney and give it to my sister. So they took the kidney and they gave it to the sister. So she's doing good. Everything's fine. She finishes college. Everything's going well. She meets this dude. Falls in love. He asked her to marry him. Will you marry me? Yes, I'll marry you. They live in, they're going to live. The doctor told her, he said, under your condition, you cannot have a child. Can't do it. Some years past, this is now there. She's in her late 20s. Brother's in his 27. The youngest baby's younger sister, I think she's maybe 26 or so. She's married to, and she want to have a baby. The oldest daughter want to have a baby. She can't have no baby. But she desires a child. So one day, her youngest sister came to her house, and her younger sister already had 2 kids. Knocks on the door and says, I want to be a surrogate mother for you. So as of today, her younger sister is carrying her child. He's the God of a comeback. You have to believe. And see, that's an extreme story. Most people, your family members wouldn't even do that for you. They'd be like, oh, no, I ain't had no baby. But for this family, listen, for this family, they said every time their loved one needed a start over, one of them was there to say, I'll help you with your start over. So now, she's like 8 months. I think next month, she's going to have the baby. It's going to be her sister's child, her and her husband's child. Isn't that awesome? That's a true story. It happened to a close friend of mine. It's so amazing. And I told him, I said, I got to use that story. That story, man. But he said, hey, man, none of this would be happening if we didn't believe in the power of the resurrection. If we didn't believe this resurrection story, we would never believe. She would never have the ability to believe that any of that would happen, that she would live. First, that she would make it through the crisis of her health, make it through needing a new kidney, and for sure getting married and then having a baby. No way. Everything medically said no. But God said yes. And her comeback is ongoing and complete. Stand to your feet. Let's pray. Father, we thank you